Before we kick the video off, I want to let you guys know about Eliteify. It's the AI coach you can link your Faceit and MM games to, and it breaks them down, tells you what to improve on. My favorite thing is this mapping tool, which tells you what positions you're winning a lot of your fights as compared to losing them. Does the same thing for smokes and flashes. Bring up on the map, it tells you which ones you're using well, which ones you're throwing at bad timings. There's also more of a breakdown into your aim, tells you if your counter strafing's good, your crosshair placement, all of that. And same thing with utility. Your HE is doing a lot of damage. Are you dying with too much utility on your belt? What exactly is going on there? So try it out for free in the description box below. So what's been going on with Astralis? Well, there's no simple answer to that, but there are a couple of rounds worth discussing, such as this one here, which shows a little bit about what Astralis are doing right now. Dupree gets the opening kill, man advantage, gun advantage for Astralis going into this one, but then once he gets that, everything kind of goes pear-shaped. He loses this fight, Device gets taken out by Shiro, and then Magisk is left here at long with Zip rotating up from B, and it's gone from a 5v4 with M4s to a 2v3. The other team has their AKs, their Glistle up, and this is going to be very difficult indeed. The story this round does tell is that despite it looking bad, Astralis still have their fundamentals pretty much intact. If we watch this out from Dupree's point of view again, you can see he gets the opening kill where they don't know where he's from, takes out Nafani before backing off and playing a slightly more passive angle. He lets Device, about to take the next contact, come in and get the tag onto Inters, and the round kind of is starting to play out, and it looks pretty good for Astralis. They've even got a tag now going into this, and Dupree did a good job. You can see Inters was worried about long, Dupree wasn't there, and Device got the free kill on the guy not looking at him. Now at this point, Astralis continue to do things pretty well in my opinion. After this tag comes through, Dupree's going to swing, take this fight on towards default. At the same time, Glaive is going to be peeking out from this stairs position. So Astralis actually doing a really good job of fighting together. They get the tag off and then they're all coming in, swarming and ready to try and get these kills. But as you guys saw before, sometimes you actually have to hit the shots. And if that happens, or in this case, the other team does that, sometimes your fundamentals just get outdone by pure aim. In fact, across the 6 maps I watched, there was only really 2 rounds that stood out as being pretty poor, and it was these ones. This was the first one where Astralis got themselves in a really good position, good utility use, Device takes a good peek, Glaive rotates in, they've got 4 people here, and he actually gets a free kill on towards Hobbit before things start to go downhill from Mr. Shiro, a man who's looking pretty hot right now, but even so, a 5v3 in this situation should be unlosable. And I'll just let you see Shiro go to work here. 3 1v1s given up before Axel is then able to walk out of apps here after Shiro makes a lot of noise, forcing Magisk to look down towards him. Axel jumps out, gets his kill, and from a 5v2, it's now a 2v1. And even for the clutch minister, as some like to call him, he has his work cut out working onto A site here in a 2v1. And there are a couple of ways this could have been prevented. You can see this first pick's actually played pretty well. On Glaive's contact, Dupree is ready to swing out here and potentially take any shots, even with his Mag 7 down towards long. Really good example, because Hobbit, if he's peeking Glaive, he's overextending himself and he's very exposed to Dupree's position. So this first part of the round played really well. But then if we think about what happens with Shiro, is Dupree keeps peeking before Glaive's in position. You can see as he peeks here, Glaive is actually moving up the archway closer than he was before, but Dupree's peak is too early, and this is the opposite of what we saw in that previous peak. Is if I'm Shiro, look at me right now. If I peek out to see Dupree, I'm now really exposed to where Glaive could potentially be. So if Dupree just waits extra second to make sure all his peaks are tradable, then Shiro goes down here with only the 1 kill and room to a 4v1. So that's the first thing that could have been done potentially differently. The other detail that's important here, though, is Device's position. Because look what ends up happening. Shiro peeks Dupree, and Device peeks out. So potentially there was the call out here that Device saying, don't worry about if you get killed in this position, because I'm right here on the short corner. If Shiro kills you, I'll peek out and I'll get this kill here. I know Axel's in holes, so this is an easy kill for me. But what ends up happening right now is Glaive again is left playing off no one's information, because Device gets the info right now. Oh, Shiro's pushing you. There's nothing I can do. He's going forward. But look at Glaive. Glaive now, because he was moving forward to potentially play off Dupree, he can't go back and use that information to say, oh, I have to stay alive now. We know where this guy is. He's forced to take yet another 1v1 in which he loses it. And that's a difficult fight to win against Shiro. And then Shiro's able to get that kill. And then based off that, Shiro turns around. This is very thorough by Shiro, by the way, and gets this next kill as well. So from there, we're racking a 2v2, and you guys saw the rest. Difficult times for Magisk and Pit alone. They make a lot of noise coming up lane. Shiro's running up. Magisk is forced to look at it. and Axel just jumps down behind him, and we're left in that 2v1. So a lot of little details that went wrong there, but Astralis giving up the 1v1s when they could have potentially played off each other if maybe they got Glaive involved in the action a little bit more. Now, despite that round and the round you're watching right now, its overall Astralis fundamentals are still very good. If you want to work out a default or how to take map control, they're a great team to watch. Again, ignore the footage in the background where for some reason they end up completely ignoring Case Dorado altogether, everyone just staring at the ramp. But they seem to be relying on this even more than in the past. Not too many gimmicks or any surprise factors thrown there, but they just rely on simple, fundamental CS to grind out most of their rounds. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with playing like this. As you'll see this round here, it's very simple from Astralis, but they make OG very, very uncomfortable indeed. So it starts off with a pretty kind of basic default Zip throwing the flash over for here to make sure that there's no AWPing off Cat, before Magis uses his Molyneux's utility to make sure no one's playing close middle or applying pressure there, while Dupree mollies up short. And together they're going to run up here and take Cat control pretty quickly. Again, nothing fancy about that flash, and just like that they have Cat control, making sure Mantu wasn't obviously AWPing there, before Magis throws out a lurk smoke to apply a bit of pressure towards Cat. Now at this point here, if you're paying a lot of attention to your minimap, you'll see that we have a group of members in here towards Long, Device, Glaive, and Zip, and they're going to take Long again in a very unfancy fashion. Magis Glaive is going to throw a very simple bounce flash, they're going to run out with that, flash forced Mantu off the angle, before they kill Flames and again, continue flashing, another underarm flash from Glaive. They come through, take out Mantu, and just like that, the round is theirs. Alexi B had absolutely no input, and OG are sent off to save. And the one thing I love about this strategy is how uncomfortable it makes Mantu. So notice as Glaive flashes off here, that Dupree is actually also flashing for Magis to come running out the smoke. And you can see what this would do to someone in Mantu's position, is he either has to play here and help out his Long player, in which case they're still playing a 3v2 on Long, or he can come back here and help out Alexi B and create a 2v2 in this area of the map. So if Mantu wants to help out here, Alexi B is now fighting a 2v1. If he wants to help here and make this a 2v2, then the pit player is really screwed because he's playing a 3v1. So you can see how Mantu has to make a decision as to what he's going to do. In this scenario, he's forced to try and play out towards Long, in which case he just gets flashed through and killed. But even if he had got one there, you can see the players are scaling up sight, and they would have had that for free, or if Alexi was there in a good position, it still would have been a 2v1. Now the other detail I love is how Device plays this, is he gets smoked off so he can't do his normal thing of posting on the corner, so he underarms a smoke and then jumps in it ready to come through to the right. And you can see here that even if Mantu hadn't have been flashed and killed Glaive, his Device makes sure that he's getting out wider than his rifles would be to cover this corner. Now in this fact they do a good job because they would have traded anyway, but he knows that his job is to hold onto this corner and he makes sure he does it by underarming a smoke. Glaive takes the player down before him, but I thought that was a nice little reaction from Device, as you wouldn't always see that AWPer get smoked off, and I think some AWPers would actually be a little bit lost as to what to do in that scenario. And carrying on with the theme of keeping things simple, this goes for the same way that Astralis hit sites even when they're coming out just one choke point or all hitting from the same direction. Such as just around here, as the lower smoke fades, they're just going to throw one flash out, all drop down the low ramp, and find a couple of entries. You see Device finds a player rotating in, Glaive goes top train and kills that guy, and then Magis grabs around and kills Yuri. And despite the 3B stack, they're right into this round, and it's simply just due to the fact they threw one flash, pushed the AUG off C, blinded the AWPer upper, and got into great positions where once those players had recovered from those flashes, they were posted up on, taking fights, and they got taken down. So simple strategy can definitely work. Just to clarify what I mean by simple is they didn't really run any executes like the one you're seeing on screen right now. It was mainly defaults, basic kind of crunches, basic kind of finishes onto rounds, and as I said before, not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm interested to see if maybe Astralis start to innovate a little bit more going forward, if they really want to try and push this style of play. Because one thing that really brought them to the top is they had all these great strategies, all these great defaults, all these great ideas that we hadn't really seen before. And obviously, it becomes harder and harder to do that over time. So I'm very interested to see what they do in their upcoming matches. With that being said, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.